Hey guys, Michelle coming at you March 26, 2017. I'm not taking anybody back. I'm sorry. Once you're gone, you're gone. You're not coming back. So what's that about, Leah?
Poor Greece, man. They've been hit really hard. They've been hit hard with the euro. And they are they're right there on a border, right? So all these people are coming in through Greece.
The euro caused their entire economy to pretty much collapse. It's not that it caused it, but it kind of did.
In addition, there's this thing called the Dublin Agreement, which has actually been suspended in Greece since 2011, where you have to register with the first European country that you enter in as an asylum seeker. And the EU wants to be able to send back the asylum seekers in northern they don't meet up with the asylum in those northern European countries. Once they send them back to Greece, and Greece is like, oh no, heck no, we can't take them.
Forget it.
I want to show you a short little video here where
no, because the European Union is the one that let them in. I mean, them and Merkel.
This is the Greek border between Greece and Macedonia.
Currently, we still have from 10 to 12,000 refugees over here.
He's a spokesman for the UNHR, I think it said.
Yesterday is the warmth of the sun. So some relief to these desperate people. Otherwise, conditions are miserable. The border hasn't opened in the last 4 days. There's no indication it is going to open. But there's this hope which is keeping them here that it may open. When they come to UNHCR, we counsel them in terms of their option, access to asylum, moving to a refugee camp, and also to access or signing up to the EU relocation scheme. There's some pickup in the interest, but generally overall people are still thinking that they will be able to
This was taken last year, and the problem is it's going to be on summer again. And this is a Greek article where it's saying, I do not see how Greece has the capacity and the financial resources to keep these refugees. Basically saying, okay, we don't have like this box. They're keeping them kind of in a box, and he's like, we can't keep these people in a. What is going on here? He says there are some EU countries that think we can use southern Italy and Greece as closed boxes where refugees can just be stored. Like, let's just send them back, right? And they don't send them back to their original countries. They send them back to Greece and Italy, and it's just absolutely.
He actually says that this attitude doesn't correspond with European thinking.
Right. According to the will of the EU Commissions, refugees who arrive in Greece and make their way to other EU countries are to be returned from the middle of the month. This is the so-called Dublin Agreement that I was talking about. They're saying, listen, a new wave is going to overwhelm us. It's these asylum procedures, they are not working. They're just not working. And
at this point, I just feel like these countries in the European Union, all of you, have got to realize you need to stand up and just say enough is enough. We need Brexit for everyone, because they are allowing these Middle Eastern refugees to come into your countries, and you don't have a say in it whatsoever.
You have to be able to have your borders. If Greece wants to bring in refugees,
let them.
Fine.
Exactly.
If Merkel wants to bring in refugees, you know what she can do? She can fly them over every other country and just transport them into Germany. But you can't. But the EU is using these
border
forceful
countries.
Yeah. It says Greece will cease taking back refugees under the controversial Dublin Regulation as the country's limited capacities to host people are already at the brink of collapse. As the European Commissioner pressures Athens to re-implement the Dublin Regulation, stipulating that refugees can be returned to the first EU state they arrived in, the Greek migration minister told the article I was just brought up, his country is not in a position to do so. I told you it was put on hold back in 2011 over the problems with this issue. He says, we accommodate 60,000 refugees, and it would be a mistake to make Greece's burden heavier by the revival of the Dublin Agreement. He says the primary destination for most refugees wants countries where refugees arrive first to bear a large portion of the burden.
Meaning Germany. Germany was the primary destination.
Exactly. And, you know, even Great Britain and France.
I'm going to tell you what this is like. This is like going to the single mama that lives in government housing with her children and saying, listen, you need to take in all of the orphans around here because, you know, we don't want them anymore. And it's our responsibility that all these orphans came, because Greece is so failing right now. They're in so much debt. Their economy is like kaput. They have nothing. All they have is an option for more debt. thanks to the euro, and it's all the European Union's fault because they don't have the ability, for those of you that don't know, we've covered this before, I just want to reiterate, to print their own currency like everybody else does to get out of a mess like this. So it's not fair.
I just had to play that in the background. This is just, this is Greece, where the people are being kept there.
And you know what? Idle hands are the devil's workshop. And so they don't have anything to do. They're just going to cause trouble. You got all this pent up energy. I just think the whole entire situation is such a debacle. If you're going to help anybody, you need to help them in the countries that they're at. It's that simple. You can't just ask for thousands and millions of refugees to spread throughout the entire world just because their country is in chaos.
Again, I just keep looking at these young, healthy males.
They could be doing things at home. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. What are you doing? You have all this energy. Go plant a field or something, you know?
There was an interview that they did do with one refugee did come from Iraq. And they were Christian.
Okay, well that's different.
They were Christian being persecuted in Iraq.
That's totally different though. These people are really economic migrants.
Right.
They are not coming here to really escape real persecution. They're coming to escape maybe a hard place to live and kind of maybe a war zone or whatever, but that's not what a refugee is supposed to be. A refugee is somebody that's being persecuted for their ethnicity or their religion or something like that. That is what a refugee is supposed to be.
Right.
That's not this.
So yeah, this is in a interview with the Greek migration minister Ioannis Mouzalas, and he says, he's asked, are the other EU members sharing your concerns?
And he says, not at all.
Is Germany one
or not all,
of those who must convince you? Yes, Germany wants the countries where refugees arrive first to bear a large part of the burden. But I must add that the Federal Republic was very well disposed towards us during the refugee crisis. Germany is our most important partner, also with regard to ongoing redistribution programs for asylum seekers. Do you categorically reject the return to the Dublin? Yes, we are not in a position to implement return to the Dublin. So you're not going to pick up a single refugee to be sent back to Greece. We could at most take back a small group of refugees as a symbol that we do not fundamentally reject the Dublin rules. For the moment, we have reached the end of our powers. Of the 32,000 refugees agreed, only 10,000 were distributed to other member states.
Wow.
Our position is clear. We cannot accommodate a single refugee. From our point of view, it is great nonsense to put on a system that will collapse immediately on the next refugee storm. I appeal to the reason of Europe and countries like Germany, which fulfill their part of the agreement in the refugee crisis. Are you satisfied? And he goes on to talk about all the it's just...
I don't know if you guys caught the fact that they're asking them to take people back as part of the Dublin Agreement. However, somebody didn't hold up their end of the bargain because they were supposed to have had 32,000 people dispersed from their country and only 10,000 went. So they're already holding on to 22,000 people that was not agreed upon for them to hold. And now they want to add to that burden on an already economically and financially stressed nation, which I think is absurd.
Right. So, it says, to date, not a single Syrian in Greece has been forced to return to Turkey. Does this not show that even the local agents are not convinced by the agreement? Greece takes each case individually to comply with international law. As agreed in the agreement, it is normal that there are delays. And then there have been reports that the EU will only provide financial support for 10 Greek refugee camps. Is that correct? No, there's something else behind it. We will close some camps and house people in apartments. Greece doesn't really have the infrastructure to even put these people over here. There was a poor little grandmother who...
I went through it and I know.
She put up refugees inside of her home.
Two of the young men staying with Mama Paniata.
And I don't
have any problem with that. If there are people that want to open up their homes...
But you can't force people
No, you can't force this on an entire nation. Forget it.
Right. A new EU-funded program would allow us to add 10,000 extra refugees to homes. This benefits refugees, the Greeks, our economy and immigration.
What that means is it's going to be like foster care where they will get paid to house these people into their homes. Which I feel is incredibly irresponsible because these refugees come from all different walks of life and a lot of them are Muslim and you have them coming into people's homes, which is the prime opportunity to convert people to Islam when you're actually living in their house. I think this is a very dangerous idea. I think that it is poorly conspired by the Greek government, realizing Greece
a lot of these people don't have
beautiful.
choices. People don't have choices to resettle. I've seen the government go in and just take over people's businesses and hotels, and you will.
You're going to lose the very essence of who you are. It is not going to be these beautiful countries anymore. Italy isn't going to be Italy. Greece isn't going to be Greece. Germany's not going to be Germany anymore. France isn't going to be France. England is not going to be England. And I think that it's incredibly unfortunate.
There's just something really sneaky behind all this. It's like you're making us sound like we're racist.
Right.
But with normal migration, people integrate into a society.
Exactly.
But this whole debacle is not happening right. I mean, where are these people? The question is, where are they coming from and what's wrong with where they're at?
Right.
Where are they coming from and what is wrong with where they're at?
Right.
We recognize that asylum is supposed to be where you feel like your life is in danger because of your ideology or something is happening.
Or your race or whatever. Or
Exactly.
your religion, whatever. And that's not what we have.
We have people
here.
who are in situations and then they get put in these refugee camps and you're like, the refugee camps are really bad, they're really
And
bad.
then at that point, your
why
heart
is it
does
in the
bleed
Middle
for them,
East,
though.
in all these Muslim countries, why you have people fleeing them? If Islam is so great, then why are these people leaving predominantly Muslim countries?
That is the biggest question. That
And
is
where
as
are the
plain as nose on your
Muslims
face.
all across the world? I guarantee you, if there were Christians under persecution, Christians suffering,
they would be
Christians
opening
take care
up
of
their
Christians.
homes. Absolutely. So the fact that there are not Muslims all over the world opening up their doors saying, come, stay with us, it's because they realize that this is how they spread their ideology.
Muslims are leaving the Muslim countries, going to Christian countries, and it's the Christian countries who are opening the doors to the Muslims. Do you see people going to Saudi Arabia, fleeing to Egypt? Do you see them fleeing to Iran? Do you see them fleeing to Afghanistan? Do you see them fleeing to Pakistan? Do you see them fleeing to these predominantly Muslim countries, demanding asylum, having good Muslims opening their door to them? No, you're going to Christian countries, asking Christians to open up the door because you know that that's what Christians do. But you know what? There comes a point where you say no. No, because you're not coming here with the right intentions and the right reasons, and the people sending you here are sending you here with the wrong intentions and the wrong reasons.
To take over the world.
To take over the world. Seriously, there are a lot of Arabs under persecution, and Christians in Iraq, they need asylum. Why? Because they're being persecuted. All right? But you've got these horrible countries. You've got Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and I'm not saying that they're horrible countries. I mean, their government, they're not opening up their doors. Right and left, building homes for people.
Right.
Putting Christians, do you see Christians fleeing Christian countries and going to Iran for help or economic jobs?
Right.
Do you know, that is the essence of this, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we can keep pointing it to. Muslims are the racist people on the face of the planet, except for when they want things from somewhere else.
I think you want the phrase the most racist, because racistist doesn't sound good.
Did I say racist?
You did. Well, you said racist.
Most racist.
Okay.
The most racist.
Right. That's what I said. The most racist.
The most racist?
You said they are the racist.
Did I?
I'm not trying to correct your grammar. I don't know. I'm just calling it out there.
Okay.
Okay, but I want to get back to, before we wrap this up, just one more time to hit the fact that this program that Greece wants to implement, probably paying an incentive to people to open up their homes to these refugees.
You just said this program that the Greece wants to implement.
Did I say Greece?
Yeah.
Greek.
The EU. The EU wants to...
No. The Greek, they said that we will close camps in a new EU-funded program. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, the guy himself
will allow 10,000 extra refugees to homes.
My point is, I find that really unfortunate because you already are going to very poor people. And poor people are going to take whatever they can get. And so they are going to, if this program gets implemented, they're going to take the money, and they shouldn't. I'm telling you guys, you shouldn't. You should not open up your home to these people. I'm sorry. Unless you find a particular case where you can tell that there is somebody that really needs your help. Like this old lady, I'm hoping she was able to kind of weed out who she's letting into her home. But I think that it's a very dangerous thing. I would never in a million years open up my home to anybody that I didn't feel like the Lord was saying, yes, you need to do this. And we have actually opened up our home and several times come and stay with us and live with us on a case-by-case basis. Yes. So I'm just and as somebody that has done that, I'm saying that I wouldn't do this. You have to be really careful. And the reason they're not going to be listening to the Holy Spirit, they're just going to be doing it because they're poor. Right. And that's just unfortunate. I think you're not going to have those rich posh people opening up their doors because they don't need the money. All right, so we're going to let us on a big program because they're going to bring up all our footage and call us racist. You might not even be allowed in the UK. It's not a race, though. Muslims are not a race. How many times do I have to tell you? They're not a race. They're not a race. They're not a race. Muslim is Islam, which is a religion that is actually a disguise. Or a Nazi into my house? Exactly. No. Exactly. No. Exactly. No, it's not. Listen, there are Christian Iranians. There's probably only like 5. There are Christian Saudi Arabians. Again, probably only like 5. They can come. It's not a race. It is not a race issue. I will let them come. All right. It's probably at an atheist Arab first. Yeah. I'll take them too. Okay. That's not the issue. It's the fact that these people follow the Quran. It teaches them to wage jihad. They throw homosexuals off of buildings. You all know the routine. You know what it is. You know what it does. For those of you that don't, your head is in the sand. I like what Alex Jones has said. A lot of these people don't want to live under Islam. A lot of these people don't want to be Muslims, but they're forced to be Muslims. We need to go back to the fact, and we do need to sign off, that a lot of these nations had Christians in them, had Jews in them, hundreds of thousands of them, and then when Sharia law came into place or whatever, they did this kind of genocidal almost wiping out. Die or pay tribute. Exactly. And now they have none left. And then you got the women that, we showed the footage in the 70s or 60s where they were wearing bikinis and they didn't have the hijab and they were happy and they were laughing, and then all of a sudden, boom, it goes to Sharia law. Women have no rights. You can't get a passport. You can't leave the country without your husband say so. You can't drive a car. It all goes down to where are the refugees in Iran? Where are the refugees in Saudi Arabia? Where are the refugees in Egypt? It's like the guy that we showed yesterday that was speaking to the UN, or was it NATO? UN Council, the UN Council, Middle East Council, and Israel wasn't even on the council. And he said Syria, Lebanon, to all of these countries, he's like, listen, the Jewish nation of Israel has 20% Arabs, and he says to all of these other, he said, where are your Jews? Where are your Jews? No Jews live in these countries. Iran, where are your Jews? If you guys didn't see that video, you need to go find it. Because it was really powerful footage of the way that guy said. He left them speechless. Where are your Christians? Exactly. They're not there. And so these people are the pot calling the kettle black. Take our people. And they're not taking in anybody. They're not funding or supporting anyone. I got to tell you, they got plenty of money over there because their war equals money. Oil. Yeah. All right. That was a rant and a half. Well, that's what you guys come back for. This is Lee Michelle signing off for Resistant Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistant Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications and find us on Facebook and Twitter. We love you guys. God bless. Happy Sunday. Happy Sabbath. I was cold all alone. No place for